A chimpanzee sat alone. Her baby had stopped moving. She didn't understand death, but she understood loss. And for 27 days, she carried her baby everywhere she went, grooming it, protecting it, refusing to let go. Scientists watching from a distance had to look away, because what they were witnessing didn't look like animal behavior. It looked exactly like us. We have always told ourselves one thing: emotions belong to humans. Grief belongs to humans. Love belongs to humans. We built entire philosophies around this idea, entire industries. And then science started watching animals more carefully, and everything we believed started to fall apart. In 2012, a group of researchers followed a pod of sperm whales. One of the baby whales died suddenly. What happened next stopped the entire research team cold. The mother refused to leave the body. She pushed it along the surface of the water for days. The rest of the pod stayed close. They didn't leave her. They circled slowly. They waited. Scientists had never documented anything like it before. They didn't have a word for it, because the word they needed was grief. But this is where it gets stranger. Grief in animals is not rare. It is everywhere. And we just never looked closely enough. Elephants are perhaps the most documented grievers in the animal kingdom. When an elephant dies, the herd does not simply move on. They stop. They gather around the body. They touch it gently with their trunks. They stand in silence for hours, sometimes days. Researchers have documented elephants returning to the bones of their dead years later, not passing by accidentally, deliberately visiting, touching the same bones, standing in the same silence, as if remembering, as if still not fully letting go. And this is the part almost nobody talks about. It is not just the big animals. In 2009, researchers observed a group of magpies. One magpie had been killed on a road. Another magpie landed beside it. It looked at the body for a long moment. Then it flew away and came back with a small piece of grass. It placed the grass gently beside the dead bird, then stood still, then flew away again. A third magpie came, then a fourth, each one bringing something, each one standing still for a moment, before flying away in silence. Scientists watched something that looked unmistakably like a funeral, performed by birds, with no one teaching them how. But then something darker emerged from the research. The question was no longer whether animals grieve. The question became something far more disturbing. How long do they grieve? And what does prolonged grief do to them? Researchers found that animals who lost a close companion showed measurable physical changes. Their cortisol levels spiked. Their immune systems weakened. Their eating patterns changed. Their social behaviors shifted. They became withdrawn, slower, less engaged with the world around them. In other words, they showed every single biological marker of what we call depression. There is a wolf in Yellowstone National Park. Researchers called her 21. She had a mate for years. They were inseparable. When her mate died, 21 stopped hunting alone. She stopped leading her pack with the same confidence. She was observed sitting alone on ridgelines for hours. Just sitting, looking at nothing. Or perhaps looking at something only she could see. She never took another mate. For the rest of her life. And here is where this story stops being about animals. Because you have felt this. Not metaphorically. Biologically. The same cortisol spike. The same immune system crash. The same withdrawal from the world. The same sitting alone. Looking at nothing. The same not wanting to eat. The same going through the motions of living. While something inside you remains completely still. Grief is not a human invention. It is a biological reality so ancient that it existed millions of years before humans ever walked the earth. Every creature that ever loved something was built with the capacity to lose it, and to feel that loss in every single cell of its body. The chimpanzee who carried her baby for 27 days was not being irrational. She was being exactly what evolution made her: a mother who loved, who lost, and who needed time. Just like you, just like all of us. We look at animals and see something lesser, something simpler, something without the depth we reserve only for ourselves. But the research tells a different story. The research says that grief is one of the oldest things alive. Older than language. Older than civilization. Older than the first human who ever looked up at the sky and wondered what comes next. Grief was there first. In the whales. In the elephants. In the wolves. In the magpies. In the chimpanzee sitting alone. Still holding on. Maybe we were never as alone in our pain as we thought. Maybe every creature that has ever loved something has also sat in that same unbearable silence, waiting for something that will never come back. And maybe that is not a tragedy. Maybe that is the most profound thing we share with every living creature on this earth. The capacity to love something so deeply that losing it breaks you.